Are you interested in a Detroit Steel Wings t-shirt, hoodie, tank top, or coffee mug? Grab yours up until September 20th. Link is on screen and in the description. What is going on, Crimson City? My name is Crimson CBAD, and in this video, guys, I'm going to be bringing you our Week 12. I always forget what week it is. It's so late in the season, I always forget what week it is. Week 12 Team Builder and Battle of the Pokemon 4 Glory League. Going up against Professor FX, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this. The Mewtwolouse FC? I think. I hope I pronounced that right. If you guys are excited, be sure to leave a like on the video. Of course, I'll be sure to link my opponent's channel in the description of this so you guys can go check out their Team Builder, their battle, what they're bringing, and why they're bringing it. We'll talk about the team. Where am I jumping into? First off, before I stop jumping into anything, if you guys are like, wow, that's a clean shirt you got on there, Chase, check the link in the description. You guys can pick one up until the 20th of September, if I'm not mistaken. Let's talk about his team. Professor FX has Jirachi, very hard to handle mon, very diverse mon, base 100s across the board, Serene Grace, has Healing Wish, can set up rocks, good U-turner, all that good stuff. A lot of coverage moves. Serene Grace is always a pain to deal with once you get the paraflinches involved. Milotic was second overall drafted for the team. Milotic is doing really good for them right now. 8 games played, total of 8 and 4. So he's really good with Milotic. Marvel Scale and Competitive are both really good. You know, we don't have Intimidate users, so competitive isn't going to be the biggest thing I'm worried about. He could go for, like, special defense speed drops or something like that, and all of a sudden the special attack gets boosted, but Marvel Scale I definitely do see coming. Weavile, very scary. 10 games played, 13 and 5 on his team. Dark and Ice Stab are both really good. Really fast mon. I always say really good or very good. I'm going to stop that. Somebody pointed that out in the comment section of the last video. Gligar is a very bulky Pokemon. Eviolite does have the 4x weakness to ice, which he will try to take advantage of if he does bring it. Mimikyu is incredible with its ability to be disguised. It can pretty much set up a free Swords Dance and then start running shop on the team. It does have a base speed of 96, I do want to say. Mega Garchomp, kind of one of the more disappointing Megas in my opinion. I don't see him bringing that. Swellow, of course, you can run a physical Swellow, you can run a special Swellow. They're both very devastating to teams. Rotom, Heat, Levitate, Fire Stab, Will-O-Wisp support, Overheats. Fortress, Sturdy, good spinner, good hazard setter. Meganium, I know I drafted Meganium in the WBE, but you don't look at a Meganium and say, oh boy. I actually think he might bring Meganium just because it is a pseudo check to Mega Swampert. Like, it does eat Ice Punches. It sits in front of Zygarde 50. It can phase out setup sweepers, Dragon Tail, things like that. Has a good possibility to come. Girder has played 7 games and 11 and 5 for him. I would anticipate Girder to come. Very bulky Pokemon, Eviolite user. Discount Conkeldurr at its finest. So let's go ahead and break down our team. First up here, we have Ray Romano, the Life Orb Mamoswine. I'm bringing the It's Gator Special, the Adamant Life Orb Mamoswine. Ice Shard, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, and Stone Edge. Why am I bringing that set? Because honestly, I can run Adamant and outspeed a lot of his slower mons. And I can run Jolly and Speed Tie with a max speed Meganium. So I decided to go with Adamant Life Orb just to get the most off. Ice Shard for the priority. It does obviously OHKO things like Mega Garchomp and Swellow very easily. Earthquake is there. Earthquake hits things like the Milotic. Earthquake hits things like the Jirachi, the Mega Garchomp, the Mimikyu, the Fortress, the Meganium, and the Girder. Icicle Crash, just powerful, devastating move. Stone Edge, just in case I can catch that Rotom Heat. In case he's like, oh, I can take an Earthquake, oh, I can take Ice Stab. Stone Edge is there for that. Max HP, 252 max attack, 68 in speed. We're outspeeding Milotic with a little bit of speed investment. We're also outspeeding a Rotom Heat with a little bit of speed investment as well. So if it's more a defensive set for things like the Swampert, we can, or the Zygarde even, what we can do is just go on ahead and click Stone Edge in front of that thing and not have to worry about it. Next up here, Sub Calm Mind, Meloetta, Leftovers, Siren. Siren's coming back this week. Substitute Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, and Hyper Voice. 228 in HP, 28 defense, 252 max special defense, 25 speed IVs with a calm nature. Now, what does this do, Chase? I'm glad you asked. So, what Meloetta does this week is that it sub-calm minds in front of things like the Milotic, provided the rain is not up. It sub-calm minds in front of variations of Rotom if it's a defensive set. Sub-calm minds in front of Meganium without the Dragon Tail. Also sets up all over Fortress because of 25 speed IVs, Gyro Ball from a negative speed nature 0 IV Fortress will not be able to break our sub. He does need to have Bug Stab on his Fortress in order to break the sub. Or Explosion, but there goes the neighborhood. So Sub Calm Mind does really well. Shadow Ball and Hyper Voice really takes care of his team this week. Shadow Ball is there for the Jirachi. Hyper Voice pretty much hits everything else. Shadow Ball hits the Mimikyu as well. Hyper Voice hits the Swellow. I mean, Really, really good. I wanted to bring dual stab, but the Weavile's there, and so is the Jirachi. So Shadow Ball and Hyper Voice played into each other very, very well off of that. Scarf Pelipper, Drizzle ability. Now the plan here, you guys saw, you're like, oh, Mamoswine's not fast enough than his team. I'm glad you noticed that, viewer. So what we can do is set up a Tailwind, and then things like Mamoswine can come in, or you'll see later on, we can run some more shenanigans with more of our Pokemon here. But we do have Choice Scarf Pelipper this week. Drizzle, Hurricane, Ice Beam, Tailwind, and Defog. Max Special Attack mod is 44 Special Defense, 212 Speed. With that, we are outspeeding Scarf Jirachi. Is that right? Is that right? No, I believe we are outspeeding regular Jirachi, not Scarf Jirachi. Hold on. Hold the phone here. Yeah, we're outspeeding regular Jirachi, not Scarf Jirachi. My bad. I put that note down wrong. So, what we are outspeeding with this is a regular max speed, like Jolly Jirachi. Hurricane hurts. I didn't really need Water Stab this week. Rotom Heat obviously does kind of wall this set to an extent, but I'm not going to keep this thing in on a Rotom Heat. So, other than that, I mean, Hurricane and Ice Beam pretty much hit everything. Jirachi does kind of wall this a little bit, but it still doesn't want to get confused by a Hurricane. I can set up Tailwinds for things like Mamoswine and Sock. I can defog hazards away just in case he does get them up. I didn't talk about his hazard setters. Rockers in the form of Rachi, Gligar, Chomp, and Fortress. Spike Setter in the form of Fortress. Toxic Spike Setter in the form of Fortress. His removal is either Spinning by Fortress or Defogging by Swallow and Gligar. So, we do have a Defog user here just for that. Next up here, Life Orb Bulk Up Sock with the Mold Breaker ability. Actually gives his team the work if I can get a Bulk Up behind the Tailwind. Earthquake hits everything. Mold Breaker takes care of things like Melodic's Marvel Scale. Mold Breaker takes care of things like Rotom's Levitate. Behind the Tailwind, we outspeed his entire team. And with this, it just kind of nukes everything. I mean, Earthquake hits the Jirachi, Close Combat hits the Milotic, Close Combat obviously hits the Weavile, Ice Punch hits the Gligar, Earthquake hits the Mimikyu, Ice Punch hits the Mega Chomp, Ice Punch hits Swallow, Earthquake hits the Rotom, Ice Punch hits the Meganium, Close Combat hits things like the Girder. I mean, Fortress is really the only answer to this, and if I can get a bulk up off on this thing, it's kind of, you know, GG, it's Crimson CBAD. But next up here, Defensive Scizor. Defensive Scizor is there for things like the Mimikyu, things like the Weavile, U-Turn, Bullet Punch, Roost, and Tailwind. We do have the Dual Stab, the Technician boosting the Bullet Punch, of course. U-Turn for slow turns out. Roost to keep that recovery up because we cannot be toxic, and I really don't care about a burn on this thing just because it's more of a pivot anyways. So Roost to keep that recovery up, and then another Tailwind setter just in case Pelipper goes down. Like I said, we've got 2 physical sweepers. I wanted 2 Tailwind setters just to kind of balance that out. And then last but not least, we do have Marth, the Mega Swampert here. Let's put you into Mega form just so you guys can see stats and whatnot. There we go. 252 max attack, 188 in HP, 60 in speed. Now with 60 in speed behind the rain, we are outspeeding his entire team, which is muy bien. 188 in HP, just so we have that max amount, that odd number, just come in on hazards just in case. 252 max in HP and that, or in attack, excuse me. 4 in defense, 4 in special defense, just because you don't want any EVs to go to waste. Power Punch is cool because he probably switches in something like the Milotic. He probably switches in something like the Fortress. We get a Power Up Punch off on 1 or 2 of those things. We're set to start sweeping. Earthquake, Waterfall, and Ice Punch really do hit his entire team pretty hard. And even if the Meganium does come, doesn't want to take a +1 or a +2 Ice Punch. So all that being said, that's team, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to cut to the battle, and I'll be right back. Alright, guys. We are here. We see that Professor FX is bringing the Girder, the Weavile, the Swallow, the Fortress, the Jirachi, and the Milotic. So pretty almost what I anticipated him to bring. I did not anticipate the Swallow to want to come as good as it is. I did anticipate something like the Meganium to want to come just in case Zygarde 50 was around. But he's got the Weavile there, obviously, and probably like a super defensive Milotic. So I'm going to lead off with Meloetta in this instance. Probably wants to lead off with something like Fortress to get hazards up. I don't want that to happen. Plus, we set up all over that, provided he doesn't have like Bug Bite or something on the Fortress. And we're going to go on ahead and get right into this battle. And yes, for those of you watching at home, I do have my battle effects on this week. So, So, oh god, that was such a bad noise. Anyways, leads off with the Girder, and I lead off with the Meloetta. So I was like, I can get damage off on this thing. I cannot get damage off on this thing. This thing's a monster. Does he want to take a Psychic? I could trick him something and get rid of his Eviolite. He doesn't want to get out. He wants to get out of there. He doesn't know what I'm going to do. He actually goes out into the Jirachi. I just go straight up for the Hyper Voice. I was like, I can live a knockout from this thing if it's a max attack Adamant. I wanted to go for the Shadow Ball, predicting the Jirachi so bad, but went for the Hyper Voice there. Is the best overall play. Did more damage on the Girder. We see that the Jirachi is leftovers, so that is one of his Z Captains. I didn't talk about that. One of his Z Captains we know does not have the Crystal. Mimikyu and Weavile being other Z Captains. Did not bring the Mimikyu, so Weavile could be there. I've got my Scissor here as an answer to a physically defensive Jirachi, provided there's no Fire Punch. He goes for the Body Slam, and I'm like, alright, we take those. That does minimal damage, but he does get the Paralysis off very first turn, so I'm like, Awesome. Hooray. Yay. This is so fun already. I love Jirachi in League format. So, leftovers recovery comes off on both ends. I can just U-turn out of here, honestly. I can get a really, really slow U-turn out into something. I can U-turn out into something like Pelipper. I can U-turn out into something like, U-turn out into something like the, what's that mon that I have? Swampert. I'm going to U-turn out right here. I don't get fully paralyzed. Going to do a little bit of damage. Looking by that damage in the calcs, it was a bit more offensive of a girder. Not too much HP invested, but still does have a little bit of bulk behind it. I go out into Pelipper because even with a max HP Eviolite set, though, I can one-shot this thing with a Hurricane. So I was like, maybe he won't stay in, methinks. So he does not want to risk that because Girder is doing very well for his team right now. Goes out into Zora, which is the Milotic, and Milotic doesn't want to take a Hurricane. Watch this. You can tell it's defensive. You can tell it's defensive just off that damage. That is a clean 3-hit KO. The Flame Orb does come off, confirming the Marvel Scale. Marvel Scale boosting the defense of the Pokemon, I believe, so it is not going to matter when I go for my Hurricanes. Clean 3-hit KO does reveal the recover, so it's going to be just this on and off battle of, are you going to recover, are you going to attack me, are you going to recover, are you going to attack me? So, especially with that burn damage, though, I am in a little bit of a winning position here. If he does have the HP Electric, so be it, but he does not want to go for her. He does not want to just keep letting his Mon get worn down like that. I do get the confusion here, and I was like, please get confused, 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 and he doesn't get confused, goes for the recover. All right, cool. We're just kind of whittling this thing down, stalling out a few recovers on this thing, honestly, which is going to be nice in the long run, because Pelipper is not meant to 1v1 this thing, but if it is 1v1ing it right now, cool. So, Hurricane spam, Hurricane spam, Hurricane spam, just keeps going off. I'm going to get out of there with Pelipper. I don't want nothing to go in there. I can go out into Siren. Siren does take a Scald in the Rain a little bit okay. He actually withdraws the Milotic and goes out into the Jirachi. I was like, Rain stop too, which is really unfortunate. Again, I can just switch out into Scissor. We know he's leftovers. We know he's like, based off the damage that had happened to Scissor, we know he's a bit more of a defensive variant, maybe more of a specially defensive, which is why he switched it in. Actually doubles out into Coco now, and Coco is the Fortress. And I was like, oh boy, man, I could have set up all over this thing. That's really unfortunate. So I go out into my Scissor here. Scissor against Fortress. I really can't do too much of this thing. He can pack like the Secret Tech, Hidden Power Fire, but I can just double right back out into Meloetta here. If he thinks I'm like a trick set, you know, he doesn't want to get that. So Fortress does set up the rocks. I'm like, okay, cool. Good thing I've got Defog on Pelipper, and really it's not damaging too much. It damages the Pelipper and it damages the Mamoswine, but other than that, doesn't really do too much. So he goes back out in the Jirachi, which is, it's okay. It is what it is. I go for the substitute, so now I reveal that I'm not, you know, a trick spec set, a trick scarf set, trying to cripple things like his Girder, things like his Fortress. So we do get the left use recovery off here. If he does carry the Iron Head does break our subs. Is carrying the Iron Head, of course. Unfortunate, but it is going to break our sub right here, which, it is what it is. Get a little bit more left use recovery. It's fine. I can go for a Shadow Ball here on this thing. I went for the Hyper Voice, actually, predicting him to switch into something else because I didn't want to, you know, I thought he might go into Swallow on like the Shadow Ball or something because Boom Burst would go through my sub. But I do get the crit Hyper Voice, which is a good roll on my end. We both get the left use recovery. I don't want Meloetta getting not poisoned. I don't want Meloretta. I don't want my Meloretta getting paralyzed by the Jirachi. So actually goes out into the Girder right here. Very good play. I hope you guys didn't hear my phone go off. I heard my phone go off. Gonna go back down to Scissor here. Scissor actually takes a hit very, very well from this thing. If he's max attack adamant at this point with lefties, Fire Punch is a little bit of a roll to knock me out, but I can live a Fire Punch from a max attack adamant Girder. So I just want to go for the U-turn here. He goes for the Fire Punch, and I'm like, let me get the switch, let me get the switch, let me get the switch. Nope, I get fully paralyzed because that's the game we play. So it is what it is. I do get my left use recovery. I can go for a Bullet Punch here. I didn't think he'd want to stay in. I thought he'd want to keep momentum going his way and switch out. Bullet Punch is a very obvious play. He can just go out into something like the Scissor or the Milotic to take the Bullet Punch, but so I went for the U-turn. I was also going to try to set up a Tailwind there. Didn't matter either way. He went for the Fire Punch, knocked me out, so now it is a 5-6 battle. I'm going to go on to Pelipper here. I'm going to set the Rain. I'm going to take the Rocks damage. It is what it is. I can just fire off a mean old Hurricane into that slot again because, you know, why not? Why the heck not? He knows he can't take a Hurricane, especially at this level, so he's going to get out. He's going to get out of there. He's going to go out into the Jirachi again. Jirachi does take those Hurricanes very, very nicely. It is what it is. Maybe I can get some confusion on the Jirachi. Maybe, perhaps, maybe, no, maybe something. Nope, get nothing. Get nothing. It's fine. It is what it is. He gets the leftovers recovery. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Jirachi, special defensive Jirachi is really good against my team, especially since I don't have, like, a fire type to deal with this thing. So I'm going to go out into Marth here. Marth, even if it does get paralyzed, can still outspeed a good majority of his team. And if it's a not speed-invested Jirachi, I can fire off a mean Earthquake even if I am paralyzed. Reveals the Wish. So now we have seen Body Slam, we've seen Iron Hand, we've seen Wish. I'm assuming U-Turn is the last move. He doesn't want to take an Earthquake right now, so I know he's going to switch out. I'm assuming Protect is not his last move. I'm assuming it was U-Turn. So he's going to go back out into Coco, which is the Fortress. So he's going to be able to get the Wish into the Fortress. Now this set right here, out of everything in this team that I have seen, this Fortress is incredible in my opinion. I've never seen Fortress used the way that this Fortress has been used. So Golf Clamps come around. So he goes into Fortress as I get my +1 up. He gets the Wish from the Jirachi. And I'm like, okay, so there's no Rocky Helmet. So I'm assuming leftover. So I'm like, all right. What can you do? Explode on me, you can boom on me, do all this stuff. I'm going to go for another Power Up Punch. So now I'm a +2 Mega Swampert in the face of this thing. I can just start going for Waterfall Flinches. Fortress gets Giga Drain. That's poor research on my part. That's incredible. I was like, this was the secret tech for my Swampert, wasn't it? I was expecting like a boom set. So I'm going to go for Waterfalls now. +2 Waterfalls in a max defensive set. Do have a very, very solid chance of taking it down. He has the Ayapapa Berry. I was like, what? I was like, not only do you Wish Pass to this thing, but you have the Ayapapa Berry. Goes for the Giga Drain just to get him back up to full. So in case I do crit, that Sturdy still comes in. I was like, bruh. Doesn't bring him all the way back up to full, but I still was just blown away. I think because of my HP investment, Giga Drain wasn't doing too much. I didn't want that to happen again. I'm going to go back out into Indra right here. I'm going to set the rain for Swampert to come in, and I can also put up another Tailwind with my last move. He'll probably want to Volt Switch out on me, which does give me a little bit of momentum right here. Giga Drain is not going to knock me out, thankfully. It is a neutral hit on Pelipper. And, you know, Fortress Special Attack isn't too much anyways, so he does get the Giga Drain off. That's fine by me. I can go for a Tailwind here. Hurricane would have, you know, put in a decent amount of damage, but I want to set up the Tailwind for something like Mamo or something like Sock to come in and just kind of clean up. Goes for the Volt Switch. So now Pelipper's gone. Both my Tailwind setters are gone. So I'm like, all right, I need to figure out how to do this really quickly. I can either go out into Swampert and I can start clicking, you know, Stab. I can go into, you know, Mamoswine. I can start clicking Life Orb things. He goes on to Weavile right here. And I decide to go out. I believe I go out into my Mamoswine. No, I go out into Sock right here. So Sock is really nice. Sock can destroy this thing with a close combat. I don't have Sturdy, like I said in the Teambuilder. I do have Mold Breaker on this thing, so I'm not worried about the rocks damage. I can bulk up in this thing's face if I want to. I did just want to go straight for the close combats. He is going to go for... Actually, did I go for the bulk up here? I did go for the bulk up there, because I knew I could take a knockoff, especially after +1. Losing my Life Orb wasn't that big of a deal. So now I'm a +1 Life Orb Sock in front of this Girder. Already got a little bit of damage off. I'm going to fire off a +1 Life Orb boosted max attack adamant close combat. He lives on 1. I was so angry. I was so angry. So angry. I got the lowest of rolls on that close combat. It is what it is. He's going to go for the Drain Punch because I'm at a neutral defense again. It is what it is. It's going to do what it does. He's going to get some recovery back. It's fine by me. He can go for the Mach Punch here if he does carry it. I can just fire off another close combat. Goes to the Mach Punch. That's fine. That's going to put me down at 17. I went for the Ice Punch actually, predicting the Swellow to want to come in if he did want to. Ice Punch was fine either way. I do live on 1 HP, so unless he goes out into something like the Weavile with the Ice Shard, I am able to get that off, but unfortunately my Tailwind does peter out, so he will be able to just go for an Ice Shard. He can go for a knockoff, go for a low kick, things like that. I'm going to stay in and go for a close combat either way, just in case he tries to do something. Went for the Ice Shard. That's a fine move, fine play. I have no priority over him, so that was the safest play. I don't know if he saw the Tailwind peter out or not, but goes to that Ice Shard. I can go out into Ray Romano here. I can fire off a huge hit into this thing. I can, you know, what do we got? I can hit it with Stone Edge, hit it with an Earthquake, hit it with an Icicle Crash, things like that. Even the Icicle Crash is resisted. He doesn't want it. He goes for the low kick. Low kick brings me down to 11, and I was like, oh boy. So I go for my Earthquake right here. We are going to connect. I don't believe he was sashed. He is not sashed. Earthquake does take out the Weavile. So both of my Life Orb sweepers picking up a kill this match, thankfully. But, you know, unfortunately going down to our own Life Orb recoil on that one. So now we're not looking good. We're not looking good right now. He goes out into Pintade, which is the Swellow right here. And I'm going to go out my Meloetta, and I was like, I can, now that the Weavile is gone, I'm not really worried about Dark Stab. I can set up a Calm Mind on this thing, because I can live 2 Specs Boom Burst, if I'm not mistaken, from this range. Especially with my spread. So after left use recovery, I can set up this Calm Mind, live another one, and just kind of fire back. So Calm Mind goes off. I do get the +1 special attack, +1 special defense boost. Jirachi still is a little bit of an issue, but maybe if we play this right, we can, you know, kind of win this one out. We can pull this one out of our hats. I don't want to go for a substitute right here just because Boom Burst will obviously go through the sub and do a lot of damage to me. He withdraws. I was like, oh, really interesting. So he goes down to the Jirachi right here. Fine by me. I believe I went for the Hyper Voice there. Didn't want to predict the Jirachi to come in because Shadow Ball would have been obviously immune to the Swellow. So I get the +1 Hyper Voice off. He gets the lefties off. You guys are gonna kind of see a little bit of a pattern coming on right here. That special defensive Jirachi is just very, very good against my team. So even with the +1 boost, we aren't gonna be able to do too much to this thing after a Shadow Ball and whatnot. He goes for the Iron Head. I'm like, please don't get flinched. Please don't get flinched. Please don't get flinched. We don't get flinched. We can go for the Shadow Ball right here. Very, very awesome. We're not gonna be able to get too much damage off on that thing. Crit would have knocked it out. Unfortunately, no crits on our end. No hacks on our end. So, he does get the lefties recovery. Fine. No special defense drop. Fine. Iron Head is going to be able to take us out. And I believe at this point, Meloetta is our last Pokemon. If I'm seeming a little recollectively on this match, it is just because it happened so long ago when I'm post-narrating. So, goes to the Iron Head. Knocks out the Meloetta. Who is my last mon? Swampert is my last mon. Swampert is my last Pokemon right here. So, he gets the lefties recovery. I don't think he stays in on me. I think he goes out of the fortress just in case. But I'm going to go out into Marth right here, and I'm going to take some rocks damage, and I'm going to be at a very negligible amount of HP. I can fire off an Earthquake into the Jirachi slot. I can fire off a Waterfall. I can fire off an Ice Punch. He withdraws the Jirachi. He does not want me to be just seemingly faster to go for an Earthquake. Goes out of the fortress, so he can take it very well. I went for the Waterfall here because I was like, maybe he goes out to Swellow and I pick up a cheeky kill, but does go out into the fortress right here. I was like, ooh, can I flinch him to death? Can I flinch him to death? Will hacks work on my side for once in this match? But it does not. He goes to the Giga Drain, and that is going to be a 4-0 matchup against Professor FX and the Mewtwolouse FC. I'm a really big fan of that Fortress set. I told him after the match, I was like, the Fortress set was the hidden tech. I really, really enjoyed it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to leave a like on it. Let me know what you guys thought of the team in the comment section down below. All that being said, I believe next week we are playing the New York Noibats, coached by Mewtwo fan Nate, good friend of mine. I'm looking forward to that matchup. I hope you guys are too. Don't forget, pick up your Detroit Steelwing shirts, available until the 20th of September. All that being said, I want to remind you to be great and do great. I'm going to let this outro bang and talk to you all soon. Later.